Happy Friday, happy payday for those of you celebrating that, and for all of the Birds fans out there celebrating Super Bowl weekend about to start. Yes, we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. I'm going to use green marker to talk about my stories coming up here. And yes, those are Eagles at the bottom of that right there. We're talking about a sinkhole in Shippensburg. We'll talk about the Eagles, make some picks. Lebanon County DA has an apology to a reporter, and it's another weather-worn day. Good day to be inside coming up, and it's going to be kind of similar to what we saw recently if you look on the 7-day forecast. Let us start with this, everybody. It is February 7th, a couple days away from the Super Bowl, but another day of sinkholes. We're going to bring in Andrew Klein. We had a sinkhole out in Shippensburg not too long ago. It looks like we got another one there now. I'm looking at this thing. How big was it actually?
So when we got to the scene, the street was closed off, so we couldn't actually get right to the sinkhole, but it was right near that other sinkhole that popped up little, within the last month or so. It didn't look like anything too crazy from where we were standing, but we did see trucks kind of digging it out and maybe making a little bit of a bigger hole in the ground before they were able to fill it in and open the street back up to traffic.
Okay, so we did have a picture of it we just showed everybody. So look pretty deep in that one spot. Any idea if it's connected to the other one?
Completely connected, I don't think so. We were in the area, and there was cones around one which looked like the old sinkhole, and then the new one was very filled in. It didn't look very big in those pictures, but definitely bigger than the definitely no, excuse me, not as big as the first one from where we were standing. But I don't believe they were completely connected, but they were in a very similar spot on the street.
You talk to anybody out there? I mean, if it was my neighborhood and there was already a big one, now there's a small one, I'd be nervous. What are you hearing out there?
Yeah, one of the people I spoke with a little earlier today actually almost drove into the sinkhole. So that's when she found it around 6:30 this morning and called the authorities, and were able to get a crew out there to fill it in. One of the neighbors I spoke with didn't want to go on camera, but she did say that there was not any sign of them needing to leave their home. They didn't get any word from local government or anything like that they would need to evacuate. But it definitely was cause for concern for sure. This is the second time this has happened in the last month or so, and one of the things that the lady I spoke with earlier today told me was, they kind of know in Shippensburg that this could potentially happen, which definitely caught my ear. But she then said, this was a natural disaster. This was something that couldn't really be controlled, and that they just needed a plan of attack moving forward if they continue to pop up and become a problem.
Well, in central Pennsylvania, just the way the buildup is and the way the land is, the rock underneath us is really going to happen in a lot of places. All right, let's change gears a little bit. We're talking Eagles. We're talking Chiefs. I will not tell anybody who you're really a fan of. I will just say it's not traditionally the Eagles. But being a non-Eagles fan, but living in this area, a lot of our coworkers are Eagles fans. What are your emotional thoughts for this game? What are your rooting interests?
My rooting interests are always against the Eagles. I will be the first one to say that. So I am certainly not rooting for the Eagles in any way, shape, or form. But
So
look,
you're
I am
rooting
a
for
football.
the Chiefs? Like Chiefs are not like the greatest. Like they're not really rootable either, though.
I honestly, I am very anti Tom Brady, and I want to see him passed up as the GOAT. So I'm here for Patrick Mahomes. I'll watch him win every Super Bowl for the next 10 years if I have to.
So you hate greatness, is what you're saying?
No, I mean, I respect greatness. I just don't like Boston teams in New England being the ones who did it all those years.
Okay. Well, I like greatness. That's why I'm wearing the Calder Cup champion jersey right now. Let's see what the animals are picking. All right. There's a penguin. The penguin is choosing the Eagles. Okay. I don't know what that is, but it is choosing the Chiefs. What is that, an anteater?
I have no idea. My favorite's the Corgi. The Corgi is the one that one always gets it right, the Corgi.
Okay. So they're showing you they have the same amount of stuff in each one. Oh, here comes a giraffe. Giraffe's going with Eagles. Very nice. Okay, so those are their picks. Quick story for you. I once got to second base with a giraffe. You waiting for the rest of the story? Okay, here's what happened. Yes. I was doing a story on this giraffe that needed a new enclosure at this zoo I was at. And we were feeding Jimmy the giraffe, and it's fine. We're feeding the giraffe. And they go, you know what? Jimmy's great. You could actually put that food, I forget what it was, some stalk of something, in your mouth, and it will just grab it. So I had the stalk in my mouth like this, right? And then over comes Jimmy and grabs it, and then their sandpaper tongues are really long, and it like tried to reach and grab and get it, and it got me right there. And I mean, you know, when you're in elementary school, second base is a tongue right there. So I mean, I got to second base with the giraffe.
I mean, they're definitely awesome animals. Would not say I had any experience with that, but I'm a fan of them. I like them.
Intimate. Yeah, you didn't. That's not a story you expected to hear today, did you, Klein? I give him
No.
tons of stories from my journalism past, and there he goes. All right, what is CBS 21 saying? We asked everybody what's happening. I'm an Eagles fan, rooting for the Eagles. I'm an Eagles fan, but I'm rooting for the Eagles. Oh, I see what you're saying here. All right. I'm not an Eagles fan, but I root for the Eagles. Oh, okay. That's me. So I'll say real quick. I'm not an Eagles fan, but so many of the friends here are. So I'll be okay and root for the Eagles this time. Although I do like greatness, and to say that the Chiefs got 3 in a row would be pretty cool. Here's what I really are now professionally. You watch a lot of sports. What do you think is going to happen in the game?
Yeah, look, I think the Eagles clear-cut have the better roster. I don't really think there's any questions about that. The offensive line is fantastic. The defense is incredible. Saquon Barkley is Saquon Barkley. But you cannot pick against the Chiefs, Joel D. They have not lost to anybody besides Brady and Burrow, and those guys are not playing in this Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, 17, I think now 18-0 against quarterbacks not named Burrow and Brady. You're not picking against Andy Reid. He's the best coach in football. I think Steve Spagnuolo is the greatest defensive coordinator of all time. I will not pick against the Chiefs until they give me a true reason to pick against the Chiefs. That's not going to change in this Super Bowl whatsoever.
Right. So I'm rooting for the Eagles and Saquon. He's a great guy. I covered him at Penn State. I'm rooting for the Eagles, but if I was betting, I'd be betting on the Chiefs. Hey, look at this face the state picture right here. Everybody was in tune. They were ready to talk about Eagles and the budget as well, but everyone dressed in their green vest for our Sunday show. All right, we'll let you go get back to work. We'll see you on the news. Thank you, Andrew Klein, and we'll see if you're right coming up on Sunday.
Thank you.
See ya. One quick more note. You saw that picture of Face the State. I'll give you a little preview. We talked to Scott Martin. He is the appropriations chair for the Senate on the Republican side. You know, last year they had this huge budget that Governor Josh Shapiro came out with, right? But then the Republicans said, we can't get near it. We can't get near it. They only got $700 million below what he wanted. Okay. So it sounds like a lot of money, but we're talking like 48 point something. They ended up with 47 point something along those lines. And they had come out saying we can't get near it, but they got pretty close. So I asked him, I said, last year you said you couldn't do it, but you got close. He said, well, we got some things back. We have to eventually negotiate a split government here in Pennsylvania. Well, this time the governor's asking for $51.5 billion. I said, are you going to get close again? He said, can't do it. The situation has changed economically. Our rainy day fund would be completely gone. General fund's not going to work either. And so this is going to be a tough one to get through. And I don't think it's going to go as smooth as it did last year. Now, this went into the summer. Of course, it's due by June 30th, I believe. So it's going to go that far anyway. They have to talk about this stuff, negotiate, but they are not starting at the same point they did in the past where they really were closer. They worked on some things. Unfortunately, we could be in for the long haul this time when it comes to actually getting this budget across the finish line. We'll let you know. On to this story. Lebanon County DA has an apology to a Penn Live reporter. So here's the situation. I'm not going to name the reporter, but let's name the situation here. So Penn Live says that they contact this woman here. It's the Lebanon County District Attorney, Pierre Hescraft, responding to this story that they want to do on this topic that's come up, right? Okay. She says, I'll do the story as long as it's not with this specific reporter. Then tells this other reporter who was trying to set it up, I guess, or someone from the newspaper, that this person that she doesn't like is awful, and I hope she burns in a fire. So this was overheard, obviously. I mean, think about that. You hear this about your coworker. So Penn Live, hears all this. We eventually reach out for a response from Graff, and she says she regrets her comment. The comments were said out of frustration over biased reporting, in her opinion, coming from that particular reporter. This happens sometimes in our business. You ask tough questions. You want these politicians to be held accountable, and sometimes there's friction there. Some would say that's when reporters doing their job. They're asking the tough questions. They're getting under the skin of somebody. Other times, if it's not fair in that situation, then that's where the friction really ramps up. I don't know the situation at all. I'm not making a judgment on this, but I've seen these scenarios happen before. You hope that everybody can be professional about this moving forward. But would you be able to get over it if someone said to you or your colleague, I hope you burn in a fire? The apology is out there now. We'll see what happens next in that scenario. Okay, that brings us to the final thing on our menu today on 21 Next. It is a weather-worn day coming up tomorrow. So tomorrow, it's going to be, one of those days you're going to get, 3 inches of snow, I think is what Tom Russell's saying. But then you're going to get that crusty stuff on top, which is the ice. And the combination is just not good. And so it's going to be going on. It's going to clear out by Sunday afternoon, though, okay? So that should be okay with us. Let me read along right here. And another weather-worn day coming up. Be careful of that. Your timing here is going to be the trick. Burst of snow 1 to 2 inches after 2. Temperatures warm a little bit, then freezing rain after 6. So very slick Saturday night. You get that building again. It will wrap up by daybreak on Sunday afternoon. It warms up a little bit. So yeah, if you're going to your Super Bowl party on Sunday afternoon, you should be okay by then. Sunday morning, if you go to church, something like that, that could be a little bit dicey. So just be aware of that. Your weather-worn day coming up. And then next Thursday, let's do it again. Maybe Tuesday. This pattern we're in with all this crazy weather has been very interesting for the weather, forecasters to be ahead of, our meteorologists. But remember the last couple of winters, like basically nothing happened? That is not what's happening this time. So go Birds. I'm rooting for you. I'm just not betting on you. All right. That's as clear as I can get. Hey, one last note. With this weather, I mentioned the Hershey Bears, right? We asked them, what's going on with your game? They got a game tomorrow night. It's going to be coming down at that point. So they said as long as the opponent can get into town, that's the Syracuse team they're playing, they should arrive tonight. So no problems with travel there as far as we're concerned. So if they're in town, Hershey's already here, they'll play the game. So they don't like rescheduling these. It messes up everything else down the line. It's hard to get them in. So if the teams are there will play. They say contact the box office if you're concerned and potentially getting a refund or getting another game in exchange for the one you might miss. So keep an eye on that if you really don't think you can make it. Definitely, they say be safe, but keep all that in mind as well. All right. Should be a fun weekend, big sports weekend, big weather weekend, big news weekend. So we're glad you're always here with us on 21 Next. I'm Joel Dean, the place to be. And hopefully the place to be will be at maybe a parade celebrating the Eagles next week. We shall see. Have a great weekend, everybody.